want to honor all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people and the valuable past and present contribution and stewardship of this land, un territoire qui émerveille et inspire nombre de poètes que nous entendrons cette semaine. Our first reader today is Melissa Paulus-Day. I can't see anything, but I know she's there. Melissa Paulus-Day is Anishinaabe and Kanyenkeaka from Bikaj-Wadong territory. I practiced and I messed it up. Wall Island First Nation, with family ties in 6 nations of the Grand River Territory. Her first chapbook, Secondhand Moccasins, was published in 2023 by Anstruther Press and shortlisted to the BP Nicol Chapbook Award. Melissa is also a scholar and educator who is currently pursuing a PhD in Indigenous education at Western University. She serves as the chair for Western's Indigenous Writers Circle and a visiting cultural teacher for the London District Catholic School Board. Her collection, A Bow Forged from Ash, was just published by Palimpsest Press this past semester. Please give a warm welcome to Melissa.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So, bonjour, Saigo. Melissa Nadijnikas, Mayangan Ododam, Dashkanzibe Mimwa and Jundaba, Minwa Bekajunang and Jundaba, Minwa Nisakmak and Jundaba, Nishabe Kwayandao, Minwa Ganigahaga and Dao. So, thank you so much for the introduction. Being Degan, thank you, Miigwech, for being here and for the invite. I am currently based in Sudbury, Swakamuck. So that's where I came in. I came in from yesterday, but I also have spent most of my life in London, Deshkanzibe, and my mom's family is from Bikajunang territory, which is also known as Walpole Island. My dad's family is Ganigahaga, or Mohawk, from 6 nations of the Grand River. And so in my introduction, I give you all of those different relationships and those ties that I have to my nation, to my land, and my clan as well, which is Wolf. So I'm going to read some poems from my book, A Bow Forged from Ash, and I hope you really enjoy them. So I like to tell stories when I tell poems, or when I read poems. And this particular collection came together through my own learning journey, my own reclamation journey, getting reconnected, reintroduced to my lands and to my family. And from that, there was so many amazing conversations and stories that my family members shared with me. So this comes from a conversation I had with my uncle. My uncle is from a conversation I had with my uncle. My uncle is an amazing gardener. He can grow anything. And we had a really good conversation about what colonization and what sort of introduced species have done to the Grand area. So this is called Tree Museum. There is no grieving process for the tall ones lost, to the imposition of strangers remaking their strange lands, silent invasions planted, seeds from across the sea. A cookie cut out displayed, 4 feet wide. My dad puts his hand up on smooth. I knew this tree. Ornamentation stifling first beings, while cities raise whole communities. Scots pine was not the remedy, wild parsnip a poison. We need good guests, my uncle reminds me. Lilac, an allegory for coexisting. We need get again, not subdivisions. Seed nurseries to reconcile, artifacts of giants we put on walls. Gretch. And to continue the gardening theme, I'm going to go to this next one. This was not a story, this was an actual thing that happened to me. and it's called To the Wolf Spider in My Garden. To the wolf spider in my garden, you are the monarch I failed to attract, planting milkweed, growing bush clover. I put down cedar chips to cover clay that barely holds grass, found endemic seeds on Etsy, envisioning stained glass wings, orange and black. Dear spider, maybe you'll laugh at the futility of growing wildflowers and planters, alienating natives with dirt from a bag. We build butterfly causeways, hoping to bridge our excuses, a strip of untamed greenery offered. Patting ourselves on the back, we bravely rewrite bylaw, replacing Kentucky blue with Indian grass. Dear predator, I did not dream of hairy legs skittering in the creeping vines my app cannot identify. You didn't dream of homelessness, exodus from the trees and brush. What design compelled spiders to diaspora? Was it the calamity of EV factories or detached residential sprawl? Single families need development stores to buy soil from. Meanwhile, ER rooms decry wolf bites, lacking antivenom. Thank you much. So this collection, it was organized into 3 parts, and that kind of came out organically. It wasn't necessarily planned that way, but one of those sort of connecting pieces throughout this particular collection is a series of poems that I just have called simply Field Poem 1, Field Poem 2, and Field Poem 3. And these poems come from an experience I had where I was invited to, and I got to go on to my family's homestead property on Six Nations. And so this property is a stretch of land that's been in my family for generations. And so to be able to visit that land, to be able to stand upon it, was a really powerful experience for me to know that I was standing on land that my family has lived on and worked on for generations. So Field Poem 1, 2, and 3, they're kind of all different reflections and experiences that come out of that experience that I had. And this one also has to do with a story that my aunt told me. So when I share some of these poems that include family stories, family memories, it was really important to me before I had this published that my family was able to look through it, and they were able to say, kind of give me the permission of, yes, like we want you to share this, or no, we don't want you to share this. So I'll say that this comes from a family story. It comes from something that happened. My family wants people to know that it happened. Field Poem 1. Dream with me. A field lined by trees, gray skies, and a howling wind. Dancing spikes of stubborn, brittle grass. Earth hard, packed, compressed, but waiting to swell. There is a house. Inside, you put wood into the stove, while children run through cramped spaces, children coiled like springs for the thaw to burst. You hear the agents before you see them, and gravel pushing a wartime bugle. Fear hits you, like a fishing hook threaded through the guts, line taut, pulling you into panic. You speak in verbs. Go, run, hide. Now, you are the child. Grass bones crunching as car doors open behind. You, running for the trees, praying for the trees, praying to melt into the land like frost in the morning sun. The agents come, raiding, yanking children from homes like weeds and salting the earth. They leave mothers on porches, toques on hooks, books half read, games half played. And yet, the land pulls back her ribbon skirt. Saplings become trees, become children again. Watch. This next one is my editor's favorite. So he has said that you need to read this every single time you go to a poetry reading. This one is called Desh Kanzi Wingoshk. And the translation for that, so Desh Kanzi Bing, when you see the G or the ING on an Anishinaabe word, it means that it's at that place. Wingoshk is sweetgrass. So it's sweetgrass along the Antler River in London. This city, Desh Kanzibe, the French and English delighted in the confluence, the people, Chinungtan, Nishnabeg, muddy waters breaking trade. Simcoe wanted capital, pursuing rivers for circulation, watershed, arteries, and veins. Turtles sun themselves on rocks pushed by glaciers along a waterway. Turtles sun themselves on rocks pushed by glaciers along a waterway erased as Thames. Skirting shadows of overpasses, carapace a calendar, scales warming blood. Horns blare above, inconsequential. Traffic misery unknown to Michigan. I sit in an Uber, late by a measure not found on turtle shells. Roads congested, we smother the asphalt. I'm stuck, a passenger, Warncliffe Glacial. Turtles sunning, geese irreverent on the forks. Stuck on antler tines, this city is velvet, not bone. The banks of Desh Kanzibe buttress urban bulge. I wonder about Monoman. If shores sang in the precise wind, grains threshed for humans, rivers. Knock me from this bridge, a gentle tap, falling, gathered in canoes, sweets with maple syrup, venison. Stewing, my driver smacks the steering wheel. Angry for the sitting idle in a construct. These roads were made, these traffic lights were made. London the city, Desh Kanzibe the place. Artifice begets hubris. These roads were paved to rewrite the land. I crack the window, enticing Zigwan air, rush of gold and pollen. I used to fear the sacrament of sneezing, grass allergen litmus test. Antihistamines imbue foreigner status, a pill to play act belonging. Convoluting an incongruent self, snipping rootedness like weeds. I used to sink into myself, sink into the safety of self, confinement and definition drawn by city limits, ever 1 degree removed, displaced. Territory, language, indigeneity. Put urban in front to separate. Foremost, you are the city. You don't find without looking extrinsically the city grass imported. Lawns irk immune systems not belonging, never found in additional Bemoan or on greening Desh Kanzibe shores. Our bodies remain catalogs of Antler River ecology. In a car, on a road, the city wants you to forget coyote and raccoon, waboos and wawashkesh. How falcons redefine skyscrapers, building airy, fuzzy babies, urban, wild. Indigenous nations of sinew, of natural, metropolitan watershed. Nature is the constant, city superimposed. Desh Kanzibe, adamantine, London limits do not stop river flows. Through the window, traffic, through a crack of freedom, me escaping, construct within a construct, sweetgrass finds me. Water trails unrelenting, turtles articulating our relationship with the sun. The wingosh stirs sweet, like nationhood, medicine breeze, impervious to concrete or definitions, breath of sovereignty, it reminds me there are no city Indians, only Indian cities. Okay, I'll do one more, maybe two, we'll see. Sorry, I'm just debating here which one to do. So this one's called Primitive Language. And part of that reclamation journey I was talking about is also going back literally to my community of Bikejunong once a week. It's an hour-and-a-half drive there and back, going with my cousin to learn my language. And so in the collection, you'll see the language being used at the beginning, a little bit here and there. And as we get closer to the end of it, there's a lot more language being used. This particular poem, but I think you will understand why I might be a little hesitant when we get to it. So primitive language. We say primitive, place time and distance between words. Separation softens mountains, we lose the point. Forgetting etymology, we say primitive, here quaint. Primitive people, incomplex, we instantiate simple, not first people. We invalidate the sophistication of primitive bows. If you're going to bring a bow to the hunt, bring the one that started it all. I struggle, scrawling amidst nations, loud with storytellers, orators. Our knowledge lives in syllables, enunciated. Syllables gathered in community, sharing whole cosmologies, one verb at a time. Our knowledge is memangua, the land our chrysalis. But I pin down words, performing lepidoptery. These sentences, shadow boxes, fingertips meticulous, trying not to tear wings in the process. Translucent, light behaves as a particle and a wave. Metaphysical or metamorphic, or maybe self-aware. These words attempting metabolism, polysynthetic storying, too intricate for the incomplexity of nouns. I need primitive language, minwajim, to tell good stories. Ningekendem, deboywan aya, I know the truth is, jaganashamo and bois, gashkanan, English cannot hold. Anishnabemowin, eji, izichawan, the way the Anishinaabe language flows. In my mother's, grandmother's tongue, cadence is circadian. Wings oscillate waveform, the scintillation of sunshine, the way the ferns flicker on bright days. I am unpinning butterflies, metaphorically. Minwajim, berry picking, me non-nestled. Among stones and juniper, coaxing wabazug. To tell me how to make. Mini bashkime nasagani bituzi jagani bakwajigan. I'm going to say that again. Mini bashkime nasagani bituza jagani bakwajigan. Not blueberry pie. Miigwech. Thank you so much, Miigwech, Nyowe, and just a little fun factoid that you can walk home with tonight. So that is the longest word in Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe language. It is blueberry pie, and it tells an entire story in that one word. So it tells you how to make it through the different words. Thank you.
I'm back. You can't escape me. Are you enjoying what you're hearing tonight so far? Yeah? It's Very good. And as you might know, there are tables with books for sale at the back. Shout out to Perfect Books and to Versefest exquisite volunteers who are holding the tables. There's also copies of the Peter F. Yack Club publication with new work by a number of festival performers. It's available for free on the free table next to the Versefest table. Je vais passer au français. Yay! J'aime ça parler français. Notre prochain poète est francophone. Yay! Né à Montréal, élevé à Ottawa et surélevé à Hull, David Galvaud est un poète situationniste et exploréen. Il a publié les recueils Pigeon rouge chez la Maison en feu en 2025 et Démonologie de jardin chez la Note verte en 2022. Il est aussi un zinester, un artiste d'usine. Je ne sais pas si t'en as pas amené, mais c'est vraiment cool les zines qu'il fait. Il a participé à plusieurs projets collectifs, dont Joie de bataille, Radio Hall et La Nuit Blanche 2025. Et il co-organise la soirée de poésie Une pinte ou un verre à la brasserie à la dérive à Gatineau depuis 2024. Donc, tout le monde, une grande main d'applaudissements pour David Galvaud.
Okay. Bonjour, hi. Really can't see anything. That's great. So I was wondering if I should speak in French or English or both. I'm just going to give the explanation of some certain poems in English so that everybody understands. And if you don't understand French, well, at least you'll hear the sounds. This is my book that I published a year ago now. It's called Pigeon Rouge, which means red pigeon. It is a book that I've written thinking about how living in Hull for a couple of years, how the city itself builds us, which is the inverse of what a city is supposed to do. So we build it, but sometimes the city builds us. And I always had this kind of like necessity to write about witches, witches, but also like anything occult is part of my poetry. I don't know why, it just came that way. In this book, and in my other one, there's always hidden stories that nobody knows except me, and then I tell people, so now they know. Which is that in Pigeon Rouge, the witches of the park near my house turned me into a red pigeon. But they turned me into many animals. And then after that, I have to go through the city to throw specific berries at certain locations, summon a giant bernache, which would be Canada goose. So I'll read a couple of poems. La nuit lèche la ville, puis je suis down avec ça. Elle lèche la ville, puis je suis heureux de la voir, avec son gros chapeau noir, dans sa grande robe ciel. Elle s'assoit près de moi, des fois elle me jase. Elle me parle raton laveur. Elle s'abrite de pollution lumineuse, puis elle est tellement belle. Je vois de bouts d'étoiles dans son visage. C'est mon crush depuis l'adolescence. J'aime ça croire qu'on est amis. C'est une vieille sorcière, la plus vieille des sorcières. Elle aime la tisane, elle connaît les champignons puis les planètes. Elle a pas mal tout vu. Je dis pas que je suis né le matin. Ce qui est le plus vrai se passe la nuit, anyway. Puis elle traîne sa longue langue sur nos maisons, sur nos rues puis nos parcs, sur nos chars puis nos balcons. Parcs, sur nos chars puis nos balcons. Elle me regarde de haut puis je la salue. Ses longs cheveux me flattent le visage quand elle passe. Ils sont froids puis doux. J'aime ça croire qu'elle nous aime. Je mets mes mains dans des chapeaux pour m'imaginer que j'ai 3 têtes, au coin Hôtel de Ville puis le Duc. Je suis couché dans mon lit de sable. J'entends un cri dans la nuit. Hull, c'est un bateau échoué. J'entends son équipage fumer des cigarettes tard. C'est parce que je m'endors pas. Je fume même pas, mais j'essaie d'aimer ça. J'écoute le vent, je vois la police passer. Je chuchote, la nuit, c'est le royaume des chats dans leur direction. Puis les guêpes de sable se réveillent pour me dire qu'ils vont se baigner. Ils préfèrent quand l'eau de la fontaine est tranquille. Je suis un métal, Puis les mélanges de salade préfets, c'est du vol. Je me réveille le matin, j'ai dormi toute la nuit habillé comme hier. Je suis au coin Hôtel de Ville, puis Saint-Jacques. Les fils électriques ne sont pas encore enfouis. Puis Gatineau, c'est une grosse omelette en forme de G stylisé. Je me baigne dans le jaune qui coule lentement vers la bouche des barons affamés d'immobilier qui embrassent le mouvement de notre territoire. Il y en a qui diraient que je suis gâté, que je suis dans le gâteau forêt noire, que je transylvanise la situation. Mais la crème de la crème, c'est du fromage. Puis dans la vallée de l'Outaouais, le fromage, il coule à flot, de l'ouest vers l'est, puis du nord au sud. Fait qu'à quand le prochain grand feu, qu'on se fasse une estie de grosse raclette, puis qu'on nourrisse tout le monde qui a faim. Le viol a tellement tété géant qui est mort. Il me semble que le message est clair. La ville est une sorte de folie matérialisée par la plus ingénieuse rationalité. Je m'applique donc rationnellement à marcher avec la plus ingénieuse folie, en plein milieu de la rue. Ça fait réaliser que les maisons sont face à face, comme d'immenses têtes entassées les unes à côté des autres, qui se regardent, qui s'observent par leurs yeux fenêtres, puis leurs bouches portes qui nous crachent dehors. Maison allumette du viol versus condo de luxe, triplex de Schlaga versus condo de luxe, appart à Magog versus condo de luxe. C'est partout pareil, le droit à la ville. Dans le fond de ma tête, il y a des épaves papillons. Il appelle l'abîme, mais il ne répond pas. Ça fait un bout qui est parti. Ma tête, c'est une lanterne chinoise après la tempête. Elle se balance dans le vent à la merci des éléments. Elle s'accroche à des poutres souvenirs pour garder la forme. Mais au fond, les papillons de nuit viennent se poser dessus pour mourir en grès. Mes cheveux poussent sans arrêt à cause de ça. Ils sont en amour avec le vent. Ma barbe est dans la famille du lichen. Ma tête, c'est une forêt qui coule à terre lentement, puis qui s'en va par là-bas. Une chance que j'ai l'utopie dans le sang, un champ de maïs ses bras. La charrue fait des lignes dans le fond de mon âme. J'ai le cortex Nazca. Mon cœur, c'est un poème écrit à l'envers. Il fait juste crier « Keep looting in the free world ». Mon corps, c'est une machine, use à se défaire. Puis des fois, il y a des pompes qui s'échappent de mes oreilles, sont tannés d'entendre les roues grincer, puis ils s'en vont se promener. Ils vont checker de quoi ça a l'air dehors, puis ils constatent assez vite que mon corps, c'est pas un temple, c'est un labyrinthe rempli de jus de tomate. La propriété, c'est un vol de mouettes au-dessus du McDo Maisonneuve. Je rêve tous les jours que la colline du Parlement soit remplie de mac and cheese. Je rêve que Dante vienne me chercher au coin de l'Art des Ormeaux puis Edgar Chénier, puis on met du pot dans le chicha, vieux à l'inferno. Le soir, la lumière quitte le ciel pour entrer dans la tour chaudière. La tour chaudière, c'est une cage à soleil. La tour chaudière, c'est une friteuse en béton. Aux plus petites heures de la nuit, elle est toujours dans notre fenêtre. C'est un golem immobile qui pompe son eau au travers de ses veines en cuivre, puis qui floche sa marde par des drains en plastique dans son repos sans terreur nocturne. Elle attend patiemment le matin. L'univers compose compote de pommes, en même temps que la neige de novembre tombe sur le quartier. J'ai finalement reçu une invitation au bal des sorcières du domaine Fairview, pendant que la ville assiégée se revitalise, pendant qu'on oublie les ciels d'été, pendant que la rue Saint-Joseph s'échappe en serpent. Les sorcières du domaine Fairview, assemblées dans la vieille grange condamnée, incantent de quoi de neige. Ils font bouillonner le bouillon. Ils ne m'annoncent pas que je vais devenir roi. Ils disent qu'on est dans marde, la gang, que le gazon est de plus en plus sec, que les bernaches, devant la fin du monde, continuent de nous regarder avec des yeux lourds. Qu'ici, c'est leur spot, malgré l'asphalte et la commission de la capitale nationale. Les sorcières tournent en rond, main dans main, leur chant, dans la bouche des animaux de la ville, m'annonce qu'il va falloir que je rejoigne le party. Dans les jours de feu qui s'en viennent, me disent qu'il va falloir que je fasse pousser des fruits bizarres, direct dans le milieu de notre champ de cœur communal, pour que tout tourne vite, pour que tout soit étourdi, puis que personne ne la voie venir. Je file comme quand j'étais enfant, pogné au camp d'été, forcé d'admirer la précision de l'imprécision, forcé d'accepter que le feu brûle inégalement, que l'eau abreuve inégalement, que la poésie enchante inégalement. Il me semble que je m'assoirais sur le bord de la rivière pour essayer d'éteindre ma carapace solaire. Les deux pieds dans l'eau. Anyways, mon lift est là. Je décalisse avec Baba Yaga. On a une job à faire. Thank you. This is... So this was just the first part of the recueil. Là. Yeah, okay. So I became a father last summer, and I'm really tired right now. So I'm going to read to you some text published in the Estuaire magazine, or poetry magazine. I don't know what to call that. It is a part of what is coming up in my next compilation. Is that how you say that in English? Recueil? I don't know. Yeah, collection. Yeah, that's in my new book. Yeah. I'm trying to find it. There we go. So basically, what I want to do in my next one is to bring my grandmothers back from the other side. I never knew my grandmothers on both sides. They died when I was pretty young, and so I'm really interested in, knowing them, which is impossible, of course, because they have passed. And so I was wondering, what's the only way to bring them back? And when I told that to my parents, they were a bit concerned. I was like, the only way is to do necromancy. And yeah, and then I was like, but not literally, you know what I mean? Like true poetry, you can do necromancy. Well, you can do a lot of things. Necromancy is one of them. And I was like, okay, yes, how can I summon my grandmothers? True poetry. Like, what do I want from them? What do I want to know from them? And I think this is kind of like a way for me to accept that I will never know them. So there's no way I will know why my parents are the way they are. And for me, this is kind of like a generational thing, right? Trying to understand why are you the way you are, the way your parents are, if you don't know who your grandparents are, right? So basically, I'm doing necromancy. That's what I'm doing. C'est qui notre Circé à nous, avec la poussière de Cheetos au bout des doigts, drette à Joy Hill, à checker les étoiles, celle qui va nous montrer comment faire revenir les morts, puis pour leur poser des questions weird. C'est qui notre Circé à nous, sérieux, celle qui prend les braises avec ses mains, puis qui nous dessine d'en face avec, celle qui nous dit qu'il faut qu'on trouve le bon spot, qui nous dit qu'on doit faire les bonnes affaires au bon moment, pour faire apparaître du monde qu'on ne connaît pas vraiment. Celle qui nous dit de ne pas s'inquiéter, qui mélange des affaires, puis c'est pas grave. Celle qui nous raconte tout ça comme si elle faisait ça à chaque jour, sans jamais dire pourquoi. Fait que fuck les lois de la nature, je vais faire revenir mes grands-mères pour leur dire que je les aime, pour leur demander pourquoi, dans le jardin de givre, dans la grosse fumée de chicha, j'étais avec la nuit. Je fais le rituel qu'on trouve au vers 503 à 560, au confluent de la Gatineau à Quéron, puis de l'Outaouais-Flégueton. Pas de chèvre ou de mouton, remplacer le sang par de la limonade rose. C'est la nécromancie végétalienne. Puis ça marche. Les morts, ils apparaissent un peu de nulle part, juste assez pour te faire croire au déjà-vu. As-tu déjà vu l'espace d'errer 1000 milliards de mains et tirer le voile de la réalité dans une cacophonie de jointures qui claquent, qui craquent les unes contre les autres, les unes dans les autres? Pire que ça. As-tu déjà vu le temps se rembobiner, tourner toute croche puis crasher dans un coin, se couvrir de gaz puis s'immoler? Pire que ça. As-tu déjà vu le ciel ramollir, sécher puis s'effriter, laisser la place à des yeux, des centaines de milliards des yeux tristes, des yeux enragés, des yeux coupables, des yeux vides, qui tombent du ciel direct dans les tiens? Pire que ça, as-tu déjà vu la rivière bouillir, commencer à se vider, comme si quelqu'un avait tiré sur le bouchon? Pire que ça, as-tu déjà vu tous les visages l'être dans le creux de tes mains et du bout de tes doigts, logorer ton nom à l'unisson, au point de faire arrêter le soleil? Pire que ça, as-tu déjà vu les couleurs s'entretuer, se déchirer, s'écarteler, s'égorger, leurs tripes iridescentes couler sur le monde, bleacher le voile de la réalité? Pire que ça, as-tu déjà vu ta peau se couvrir de centaines de lucioles, ton corps devenir un jardin de juillet? Pire que ça. As-tu déjà vu toute la fumée de tous les feux qui ont brûlé glisser direct dans tes yeux? Ça t'est fait fermer. En tout cas, moi, ça m'a fait fermer. Puis c'est derrière les paupières, dans le phosphène vitrail, que les morts apparaissent. Puis quand tu ouvres les yeux, ils sont là. Ils sont toutes là. OK. Attends aussi. C'est quand j'ai commencé, Chloé? Ah, OK. OK, parfait. On a un petit 5 minutes. I wanted to read one last thing that I'm writing right now. I had a flash, and Chloe was present when I had that flash. We were at the bar, and I was like, oh, right now I'm writing something that I think is very interesting, and I don't know if it's very interesting, but for me it is. And it's about the Montreal Metro. So as you know, I was in Montreal, and I was having some friends over for dinner, and my friend said, oh, you know, when they built the O train, nobody died. But there were a couple of sinkholes. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And then he said, you know, when they built the Montreal Metro, the 2 people per station died, which is not exact, but it's close to, you know. And I was like, oh, that's very necromantic. There's something in there that kind of like spoke to me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I did some research. It's very dark, and it might be a trigger warning. I'm sorry about that. But there's approximately 100 people per 10 years that die in the Montreal Metro. And I was like, oh, that's, I think, a subject that somehow speaks to me. So I started writing something about how the Montreal Metro is a necropolis. And something in there that we don't know. It's working in weird ways. So ça va comme suit. Quand tu pousses les portes puis que tu te bats contre le vent étrange, ça te rappelle des souvenirs. Le souffle profond d'un infralieu qui t'accueille dans ses tripes. Un souterrain qui t'avale, presque vivant. Il y en a qui vont dire que la chaleur est un de vie, que le souffle est une preuve de vie. Ce qui est certain, c'est que la sensation produite par un corps chaud réconforte. Il offre un répit. Mais c'est l'odeur qui trahit. L'odorat est un sens émotionnel, un sens limbique. Tu achètes ton passage ou tu payes ton passage avec ta carte Opus sans te demander qu'est-ce que ça veut dire Opus. Tu descends les escaliers roulants, catabase moderne debout sur ta marche qui marche pour toi. Tu ne te demandes pas qu'est-ce qui est en dessous des escaliers. C'est un hors-lieu. Puis si tu es dans le gang du courage ou de l'impatience, tu descends les escaliers roulants en marchant. Tu es rendu habitué dans les souterrains. Le mystère du labyrinthe disparaît quand tu sais où tourner, quand tu sais où descendre, quand tu connais le chemin, quand tu as fait tes propres lignes de désir, puis que tu te laisses emporter par la descente. Dans les couloirs liminaux, les corps deviennent fluides. Fait que tu bouges vite pour ne pas rater le métro. Tu veux juste pas entendre le do-mi-sol résonner au loin puis dire que tu aurais pu le pogner. Fait que tu bouges vite pour ne pas rater le métro. Tu ne remarques pas que tu passes devant des portes, plein de portes fermées. C'est pour ça que tu ne les remarques pas. S'ils ne sont pas déjà ouvertes, tu ne peux pas voir comment les ouvrir, tu ne les remarques pas. C'est presque comme s'ils n'existaient pas. En plus, ils ont juste l'air de s'ouvrir de l'intérieur. Puis si tu es chanceux, vers elles, c'est juste des pièces de rangement, des couloirs de service ou de quoi de même. Les cadavres sont des grenades exquises dans le métro de Montréal. Construits en dessous du sol, à l'abri des paladins piétons et des prêtres à moteur, 2 morts par station, pour que les rails et les wagons tournent sans arrêt. Une centaine de sacrifices volontaires à chaque 10 ans pour que les rails et les wagons continuent de tourner sans arrêt. Tout d'un coup, le do-mi-sol résonne dans une nécropole électrique. Voilà. Ça met fin à ma partie. Merci. Thank you. Igouette. Mon stock.
Merci, David. J'ai un chat qui est décédé il y a 2 ans. Peux-tu faire quelque chose là-dessus? Balou, peux-tu le ramener, s'il te plaît? A night like this wouldn't be possible without you, dear audience. So maybe clap for yourself. Yes. Because reading in front of an empty room is boring. I've done it. And without the financial help, of course, of the City of Ottawa and the Canada Arts Council. So thank you for the money. Please keep it coming. And our last reader tonight is a poet, a writer, a literary editor, and a musician. It is Robin Sarah. She is the author of 12 poetry collections, including most recently We're Somewhere Else Now, published at Biblioasis. Her collection, My Shoes Are Killing Me, won the 2015 Governor General's Award for Poetry and the Canadian Jewish Literary Award for Poetry as well. She has also published 2 collections of short stories, a book of essays on poetry, and a music memoir. She served as poetry editor for the Cormorant Books from 2010 to 2020. Robin Sarah lives in Montreal, but she is here tonight in Ottawa. Let's welcome her.
I can't see anybody. I don't like that. I like to see people. What if I don't use the mic?
Oh, for people online, they would like you to use the mic.
Well, if it starts going click pop, will somebody do something about it? If it starts,
We need it for the live stream, and we can't hear you back here at all.
oh, okay. 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 Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the invitation. I think it's almost 10 years since I've been at Versefest. I did come in 2016 and 17. So I guess it was a younger festival at that time. I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm not good at talking off the top of my head, especially when I can't see who I'm talking. So I'm just going to read the poems. I write better poems than I talk off the top of my head. I hope. Chandelier. I woke up one day and the world was out there, roaring and being the world, almost as though nothing had happened. The rest of the interrupted sentence was not gone. It had somehow jumped to the bottom of the screen. Evidence was mounting that we had been hoodwinked, that we were smoke and mirrored, but the room was always exactly as we left it. An enormous Y had begun to form in the sky, and hundreds of smaller Ys suddenly materialized, hanging from the tips of bare branches, disguised as raindrops. It was a kind of chandelier that hung there above our heads, not so very far above our heads, but no one was looking up. Trees were falling silently all over the world. Okay. Perpetual. I woke with the word perpetual in my head, and for a few moments I thought there was something I could do with it, but there wasn't. Whatever was shiny about it went dull before I could really open my eyes, and when I put out a finger to see if I could dust it off, it shattered like a Christmas tree bauble. I woke up with the word smithereens in my head. It was the same old world I woke to. It was the same old world forever changing, the way a soft brown moth seems to melt into air when you try to clap it between your hands. The way we stoop on the autumn street to pick up a fallen leaf exceptional in its colors and walk some little way admiring it before letting it drop again. Thank you. And I don't really know much about necromancy, but I think I have something that resonates with it. There's a piece of music, it's a piece of Renaissance music called Le Rappel des Oiseaux, and it's a harpsichord piece. And the title of it intrigued me, so I just took that title, Le Rappel des Oiseaux, and wrote this. Call the birds back, the one of the bent wings, call him back, and the dark one that fell without a sound, and the white one that rose from the water. Call back the colored ones that sang in the wine. Call back the colored ones that glittered in the dream. Call the birds back one by one. Call them by their secret names. The one of the bent wings fell spiraling. The dark one came down like a cinder. The white one beat against the air. The colored ones drifted to the bottom of the glass like leaves in a still, small pool. Call the birds back one by one. They flew up from the green meadow. They mounted to the sun. They tempted the wings of the whirlwind. They descended into the chasm. There, in near dark, their sad voices answer each other. They trouble the ears of the wakeful. They steal men's wits. By the light of day they were glorious. They've fallen past falling. Oh, call them back. Call the birds back, one by one. Call them by their secret names. A festering. On the site of an old injury, buried deep under the closed skin, an itch begins. An itch, the scratch of which may yield a poem or a theorem, or unearth the seed of a great invention that will unseat all our assumptions and rewind time. A small, insistent itch under a patch of newer skin that doesn't match. Something inside that wants to birth or hatch, work its way out from under a healing that was incomplete. So it can all begin again from scratch. In lockdown, Montreal, 2021. On a lamppost at the corner of Parc and Villeneuve, someone has printed in permanent black marker, "No happiness ever." A block away, on the alley, on the side of a concrete foundation, someone else has painted in white cursive, "Jusqu'à ce que la mort nous sépare." Despair in 2 languages. I imagine the days of the unhappy kid, a boy, I think, mid-teens, cut off from friends, sports, from just hanging out in the places kids hang out, corner pool hall, pizza joint, familiar haunts, all closed. And days of the woman put to the test of 2's company, 2 shut in together with no end in sight, who for love's sake forced an end and asked her partner to move out. I'm looking for the time. I thought there was a clock, but I can't see anything. I'm just blind.
26.
How am I for time? What? Right. Reprise. A sound from childhood suddenly recalled. The music of a pet bird's beak and claws as it clambers up and down the sides of its cage, like random harp strings being plucked. A mellow, metallic music played upon the bars, a ringing as it climbs up, down, and all around and over the ceiling upside down, cocking a bright eye upward. Or, if the door hangs open on its hinge, venturing out to climb all over the outside of the cage and up to the vaulted roof, cocking the same eye down and in, then up and all about, ready to take wing. By what trick of the mind does it now seem in memory the music played from without had a sweeter ring. These are all kind of lockdown poems, so here's another one. Nothing's happening here. Nothing's happening here, I thought, crumpling a page of early morning scrawl. But then I switched off the electric heater and silence happened. Layers of cloud are sailing past the high rise, seen from the lane side window. Balconies stacked skyward like open bureau drawers, spilling out glimpses of messy lights. A wind in the backyard tree shakes the winter-stiff twigs. A squirrel in the fork washes his face with both hands. Hope for the world these days I hardly dare, but flowers joy me. Last night's bouquet, sunstruck on the breakfast table. The great mill of the press keeps spinning its fine twisted linen, turning dirty laundry into emperor's clothes. And the spider in the window also spins, absorbed in its thread of purpose between inner and outer panes. I'd like to read a sonnet crown, that's 7 sonnets in which the last line of one becomes the first line of the next with minor variations until it comes full circle and ends with, or should end with, the line it begins with, but this one doesn't. But the line does appear as the penultimate line. So it's called Once More, and I will not read the digits 1 to 7. I'll just read straight so you can feel the repetitions. Friends have passed on too soon and suddenly, 2 in as many months. With each we had scant time to catch our breath between the sad verdict first shared and sad finality. The years of making memories are gone. We did not know those years for what they were. All seems in flux. Dark forces are astir. Children have grown and flown. Friends have passed on. We dreamed a world untouched by war or want. We lived a lie that we believed and preached. Now we can't look the future in the eye. As spring arrives once more with airs that haunt, we turn, gaze backward where our hopes lie beached. Old men come out to watch the world go by. Old men come out to watch the world go by, as old men ever will, know what they know. They weren't born yesterday. New winds that blow, to them are winds remembered, winds that lie. Stalwart, they stand like pillars in the sun, or lean on porch rails, testing with their weight. Another winter's wobble to set straight, a seasonal adjustment to be done. Old men in springtime don't look far ahead. This April's crocuses have broken ground. Next April's crocuses, well, who can say? Their garden tools lie rusting in the shed. They nod to neighbors as they gaze around. They sun themselves. Let someone else make hay. They sun themselves. Let someone else make hay. Their houses have grown old with them. They choose their battles wisely, know the ones they'd lose. The poor can be fixed just a day. Weeks on, the young in one another's arms, sweetly entangled, lie on the greening grass, oblivious to the eyes of all who pass, steeped in the moment, lost in each other's charms. The young in springtime don't look far ahead. Their time is timeless, every day a world, and all-consuming now holds them in thrall. No mighty strivings yet, no nameless dead. Unguessed, their futures wait, still tightly furled. Summer unborn, who can imagine fall? Summer unborn, who gives a thought to fall? Summer will overtake them just the same, wrestle them down and bind them to a frame, the baby carriage in the entrance hall. Tethers of silk will hold them 20 years. Moments that stun will bring them to their knees. They, in their turn, makers of memories, will float brave hopes and fend off dogging fears. We turn, gaze back to where our own brave hopes foundered and ran aground to lodge in sand. Under what colors did we first set sail? We had a map. We thought we knew the ropes. We were the future. All would go as planned. We learned the many ways a plan can fail. We learned the ins and outs of plans that fail. We had our shot at family, work, and love, and fame, and fortune, and our chance to prove some noble dream wherein we could prevail in service of a greater good. We tried. We learned to temper expectations, own our modest winnings rather than bemoan false starts, wrong turns, and gambits fallen wide. In short, we did what humans do. We rode the winds of our own times, for good or ill. Sometimes they favored human enterprise, sometimes they hindered it. The winds have slowed. Or is it we ourselves who now stand still, a hush around our ears as motion dies? The hush around our ears as motion dies dismays. We dreamed a world untouched by war, yet war and want rage on, a distant roar. On air, new journalists repeat old lies we once believed or half believed. Now doubt has taken over. Things we thought were true hang in the balance. Things we thought we knew. It isn't something you can talk about. All seems in flux, unhinged, a world gone strange. Do we imagine this, or is it real? Children have grown, their visits brief. They and their young ones headed into change beyond imagining. How will they deal? Don't ask. A robin sings. Trees are in leaf. Outside, a robin sings. Trees are in leaf, their green lace tossing in the wind. A friend from far away has just arrived to spend a day or two in fellowship of grief for one we loved in common, to rest, with whom we shared some long ago green hours, before the World Wide Web, before the towers, when years for making memories seemed blessed. Dark forces are astir, but air of spring wafts lilac through the screen once more. For now, a voice, a face, familiar company, a word, a touch of hand, remembering. Friends have passed on too soon and suddenly. We will go on from here. Don't ask us how. Thank you. And if that's too somber a note to end on, I thought I would end with an invocation to hope. And it's called Invocation. Hope, like a dormant fly that suddenly revives and begins to buzz in a corner of the window screen. Hope, like the mailman's footsteps coming up the outdoor staircase. Hope, like a paper flower bought for a handful of loose change from the woman on the corner by the bank with her soft Irish lilt. Hope like that lilt and her hands that made the flower. Hope like tiny rainbows cast on the wall by a crystal hung in a sunny window, and like the cat that leaps to bat at them with a velvet paw. Hope like a sentence underscored in a borrowed book, or a note in the margin by a sidelined paragraph saying, "This is me." Hope like a shift in the wind, like a tug on the line, like a line thrown just in time. Hope like a phrase heard in a dream and remembered on waking, like a floating night thought remembered on waking, remembered again a few hours later, and again at evening, a good thought. Hope, come back to me. Thank you.
much, Robin, Sarah, for this beautiful reading. La soirée de ce soir, c'était comme la crème glacée napolitaine de la poésie. Tu sais, c'est comme trois saveurs exquises qui se combinent, qui se subliment en quelque chose d'encore meilleur. So that was the end of the readings for tonight, but we're back tomorrow, of course. So rendez-vous au Black Box de la Cour des Arts demain pour entendre à 7 heures, il y aura Claudia Couture, Moore, D.A. Lockhart et Gwen Aubé. Et à 8h30, at 8:30, la revue Arc Poetry presents Isabella Wang, Lucia Fernan, and T. Liem. So again, thank you so much for being here tonight. A big round of applause. And if you want to bring back some poetry with you, don't forget to hit the tables with that. Thank you.